Hi guys, I'm back again today and I am really excited for this one because remember in the last video, top 10 countries in Europe to raise a child or raise a family, something like that, right? It was so amazing, or the best countries to live in Europe. And I really, really love that. And we found out that Norway is actually heaven, right? Because nobody contradicted me in the comments so far from the comments I've read. And if I don't reply in the comments, it doesn't mean I never read it. It's just that I don't know how to reply, or I just like it, right? But anyways, yeah, nobody argued that it's not heaven, it's on earth. So in my head, it's heaven. Okay. So if ever I go to the airport one day and I'm going to Norway and they ask me, where are you going? I'm going to say heaven. Maybe I will be held at immigration, but it will be worth it, right? So anyways, I was in my head saying, what about the best countries in the world? Probably it will all be Europe, to be honest, because duh. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong. So we'll see. This is really interesting. So Jose came through with a buy me a coffee. He's the one who requested this, or she. We never know. I probably am butchering the name. Maybe it's not Jose. It's like something more eloquent. I'm not saying Jose is not, but sometimes I have to learn how to shut up, right? So before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's continue or start.
Are you tired of where you live? Maybe you're even part of the 38% of Americans who are so fed up with the US that they're considering moving to another country. Or heck, maybe you're just done with Earth. In which case, I hear Elon's gonna send people to Mars by the end of the decade.
Norway.
But why in the galaxy would you want to live on Mars? I mean, it's cold, dark, and makes the Sahara Desert seem hospitable.
But from here to there, aren't some of the best countries also
Germany.
cold and dark?
Well, sure, some are, but they're also home to gorgeous, unique landscapes and incredibly high qualities of life. So with nearly the entire world now open to visitors, 2023 is as good a time as any to live abroad. Trust me, it will change your life. These are the top 10 best countries to live in for 2023. And if you want me to rank all 195 countries from worst to best, let's hit 10,000 likes. Number 10, Japan.
Wait, that's not Tokyo.
Countries, he said. Oh yeah, that's not Tokyo. Maybe he doesn't have stock footage. But anyways, that is not my favorite country, but it's I love Tokyo, but I don't think I can see myself living in Tokyo. That's the thing. Like, I would love to stay there for an amount of time. It's one of my favorites, yes, countries in the world, but it is not where I want to live for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life.
Those look like medieval European buildings.
Okay, I'll be honest, it was so hard to narrow this list down to just 10 that I couldn't. So we're starting off with an honorable mention, the Czech Republic. You've probably heard of Prague being a bucket list travel destination for its incredible beer, famous cafes, friendly residents, unique architecture, and beautiful history and culture. But the Czech Republic, with its picturesque towns and over 2,000 castles and palaces, isn't just a great place to visit. It also offers an incredibly high quality of life. It's the 8th safest country, the unemployment rate is just 2.4%, and despite having some of the lowest taxes in the EU, the healthcare is among the best in the world and free for all EU residents. And the top-notch universities are free for everyone. No wonder there's nearly 700,000 expats. And while the economy certainly isn't the biggest, it is growing fast, with the GDP per capita increasing from just $38,000 in 2020 to $49,000 today. Plus, since it's one of the cheapest countries in Europe, the poverty rate is just 5.6%, which is the second lowest of any nation. I think we have
about 30.
Actual number 10. Japan, with nearly 125 million residents spread across 421 inhabited islands in so many different ways.
It has everything. It's kind of like very modern, very technological, fashion, and then it's also nature and culture. It's like the country that has everything that you want. You can be in like Zen and then chaos at the same time next door. You can be in like 2030 one day, and then tomorrow you're in like the 1800s or something like that. It's like crazy.
Life, from the bamboo forests and historic temples of Kyoto to the snow-capped volcanoes, cherry blossom trees, and idyllic mountain villages to the tropical beaches of Okinawa and the largest city in the world in Tokyo, you might expect Japan to struggle keeping things organized. Not only is this gorgeous country home to some of the cleanest and safest cities, however, it's also one of the most technologically advanced nations with the best rail system, insanely quick internet, over 5 million vending machines, and even heated toilet seats. A big reason for this is the country's emphasis on educating the youth to not just do the bare minimum, but rather constantly innovate and problem solve. In
They
fact,
also
Japan's
have very
schooling system is
independent children as well. Like, where did we see the Netherlands, right? Have independent kids. Same with Japan as well. So I think Netherlands would love Japan, or people from Netherlands would love Japan. Japan people would really love Netherlands as well, I feel like, because they have kind of like a similar outlook when it comes to their children.
second best of any country and the most equal in terms of poor and rich students receiving similar quality of education. But while this is great for the economy, which is the third largest of any nation with a GDP of 4.41 trillion, an unemployment rate of just 2.6%, and so many cutting-edge companies, it also means the Japanese are overworked and don't have time to focus on other aspects of life like dating.
That's the only thing in Japan is there's so like work comes first. Family is third probably. No, I don't know. There was a statistics that I forget. It's like work first, and then maybe self, and then family, or something like that. There's something else, and then family, right? So that's the only thing. They are not necessarily like family oriented as much as like the other places. That's why I love Japan, but I don't want to live there because there's no life there. It's all hustle, right?
Means the Japanese are overworked and don't have time to focus on other aspects of life like dating or raising a family. This has led to a large elderly population, with the death rate being nearly double the birth rate. But hey, at least if you live here, you'll live a long time, as the life expectancy of 85 years is the highest on Earth.
Yes.
Number 9,
Nine.
the Netherlands. It's a miracle that the Netherlands
You see,
even
they're, like,
exists.
close by.
With 26% of its area located below sea level and nearly 50% of its population living below sea level. In fact, if it weren't for the ingenuity of the country's many dikes, dunes, canals, and pumps, 65% of the country would be underwater at high tide. The fact that it's also one of the 10 best countries just proves the Dutch are overachievers. But they aren't overworked. The Netherlands has the shortest average work week at just 30.3 hours to go along with 29 paid vacation days. But despite, or perhaps because they don't work as much, the Dutch are more productive with the time they do work, leading to a GDP per capita of 70 grand. And sure, taxes are quite high, but the residents don't stress spending more since...
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna say it. If I'm spending more to gain much more in return, take my money, right? Take it. I'm not here to criticize how much you're gonna tax me, as long as I see it, right?
70 grand. And sure, taxes are quite high, but the residents don't stress spending more since they know the money is being put to good use. The schools are fantastic. The hybrid public-private healthcare system, where insurance companies are required to accept everyone on the same premium, is highly ranked, and the pension plan is the second best on Earth. Plus, the Netherlands still has the second highest net after-tax income of any country at $53,100. And with nearly no unemployment or crime, a non-judgmental progressive culture, and charming unique cities such as Amsterdam, it's no surprise that...
I'm gonna make a PowerPoint presentation, right? And I'm like, family of mine, parents and brother, this is my PowerPoint presentation to why we should move to Netherlands. First and foremost, we ride a bike. Ignore the cars. We don't have to pay for the crazy car insurances and all that shimenkos. Secondly, we get to vacation more or spend time together as a family. Thirdly, there's so much more. I just can't speak
mental progressive culture, and charming unique
Maybe I
cities such
shouldn't
as
speak.
Amsterdam, it's no surprise the Dutch are the 9th happiest populace.
Oh, I know
Although
the
outside of the
happiest people
tulip
in the
fields in
world.
the spring, the Netherlands
I
certainly
don't-
isn't winning any most beautiful country awards. Number 8, Finland. While the Dutch are very
Finland.
happy people,
So that's our
Finland has been
second
the happiest country
Europe.
for 7 years running. And its capital, Helsinki, is the happiest city. And it's not just because Finns drink way more coffee than any other nation. Although,
That's
with
my
how
country
cold
then.
and dark it can get, I don't blame them. The Lapland region
I love the dark and cold. Like, if you will find me anywhere, it's a dark and cold place. Like if there is a room or in the house, right? And you're wondering, oh, where will Rookie be? Look for the darkest room and the coldest room, and she's there, right?
than any other nation. Although, with how cold and dark it can get, I don't blame them. The Lapland region is also one of the best places to view the Northern Lights, however, and with the cleanest air and water quality on Earth and 31 fully paid vacation days to enjoy the gorgeous
31?
untouched forests, rivers,
is
and
a
lakes
month
which make
of-
up 85% of the country, there's not much to complain
country?
about, especially since the government is the least corrupt of any nation and ensures a high quality of life for its citizens.
Let's go to
Starting with
Finland.
the #1 ranked schooling system where testing doesn't exist, teachers preach cooperation over competition, and students can learn in whichever way is best suited for them. University and trade school are also free for everyone, and with the third
nobody's
lowest
talking about
poverty rate of
Finland?
just 5.7%, hardly any crime or traffic, top-notch practically free healthcare, the best parental leave policy with 14 months of fully paid time off, and the highest level of food security in the world. The most difficult thing
Probably
about living
not
in
in
Finland
Finland.
would be learning Finnish, which is actually completely unrelated from the
okay.
other Nordic languages and one of the hardest in the world to learn.
I was gonna say that's okay, we will learn it, and he says the hardest. This guy.
Related from the other Nordic languages and one of the hardest in the world to learn.
It's okay, we'll get
Number
there
7,
eventually.
Canada. 1/3 of both
Canada.
Finland and Canada lie north of the Arctic Circle, and thus experience both the polar night and frigid temperatures. Canada is 30 times the size
Beautiful.
of Finland, however, meaning you could fit 10 Finlands just in the Canadian Arctic, yet less than
Damn.
20,000 people live in that entire region.
Oh, wow.
Why am I mentioning this? To put into perspective just how cold and uninhabited most of Canada is. Although if you love wildlife and vast breathtaking landscapes, Canada's beautiful. 90% of Canadians do live within 150 miles of the US border for a reason though. And even those
Why?
parts still get really cold. So it must offer a pretty darn high quality of life to still be attracting so many highly educated immigrants with an annual growth rate of nearly 1.8% each year. And well, yeah, it had the 3rd highest overall quality of life in 2022, in large part because of those immigrants. In fact, Canada is both the most multicultural and educated nation, with 23% of the population
Come
being
on,
born in
Canada.
another country and 60% holding a
Canada.
post-secondary degree. And it was just ranked as the best country for both immigrants and students. This has led to one of the most diverse economies, with the 7th highest average annual wage of $55,400, which, combined with a strong social safety net, has resulted in an incredibly low poverty rate of just 8.6%.
Jollibee in
Add in the
Canada
fact that
also.
it's the 4th safest country and has good
Maybe-
relations with pretty much every other country.
It's like you're looking to move, right? And then your criteria of moving is like, what country has a Jollibee? Let's go there. Oh, by the way, Jollibee is like our McDonald's here. So if you didn't know. So, and then you tell your parents also in your PowerPoint presentation, they also have a Jollibee. Right? They're sold. At that point, you're like, we're good. They cannot say no anymore.
Add in the fact that it's the 4th safest country and has good relations with pretty much every other country, and it's no wonder Canadians are so friendly.
They're so nice.
Number 6, Iceland. Let me just say, Iceland is
Iceland.
the most magical place I have ever visited. From stunning fjords to mossy canyons, black sand beaches, a glacier lagoon, and a plethora of volcanoes, hot springs, geysers, and waterfalls, the island, which is slowly being pulled apart as it sits on both the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates, is the most otherworldly
So
place
beautiful.
on Earth. The fact that it offers such a high quality of life too is just the icing on the cake. Not only is Iceland home to the lowest poverty rate of just 4.9% and second highest average income of nearly 68 grand, it's also the best country for equality in the workforce, offers 12 months of paid family leave, at least 24 days paid vacation time, the number one retirement pension plan, great quality universal healthcare, and free university. The reason Iceland can afford to $8,000. It's also the best country for equality in the workforce, offers 12 months of paid family leave, at least 24 days paid vacation time, the number one retirement pension plan, great quality universal healthcare, and free university. The reason Iceland can afford to do this is because it's a proud pacifist nation with no military, and their non-corrupt government doesn't take any more money than it needs. For example, the Fjallfjordur tunnel had a toll for 20 years, but once the cost of the tunnel was fully paid off in 2018, they were like, it became free to travel through.
There's people like that in the world. There's good people.
Close-knit community where most residents feel like they have a fellow citizen to count on if times get tough. And it should come as no surprise that Icelanders are the third happiest residents. But while Iceland has been the safest nation for the past 14 years, with Reykjavik being the safest city, it isn't exactly safe for your skin or mental health if you can't stand the cold or dark. Our next country, however, is about to warm things up.
What is
Number 5, Australia.
Oh, I love Australia.
Finally somewhere warm! Oh wait,
I've never been.
It's too warm.
I just love how weird everything is.
Okay, obviously that was an exaggeration, and as long as you're not sunbathing in Unadada and actually stick to the coast, it shouldn't be that hot. But speaking of the coast, Australia is technically the largest island, and thus features 34,000 kilometers of pristine coastline, including many of the most picturesque beaches on Earth. And with half of its 26 million residents living in the 3 largest cities, this largely untamed continent is home to so many breathtaking landscapes with 685 national parks, many of which you can get all to yourself. There's a reason 90% of Australians live in urban areas, which take up just 0.22% of the country's landmass, however. Because they're some of the best cities in the world with thriving economies. Australia has the 8th highest average annual salary, the highest minimum wage, a mere 3.4% unemployment rate, and a $1.725 trillion GDP, which continues to grow by 11% each year. In large part due to the abundance of highly educated immigrants. And even if they weren't educated, it wouldn't be much of a problem since Australia also has some of the best schools and universities. Because of this and more lax immigration laws, Australia is the second most multicultural country, with 43% of the population being first or second generation immigrants. This high quality of life, combined with beautiful weather and one of the most efficient healthcare systems, has led Australians to be the 4th happiest populace with the 2nd highest life expectancy of 84.5 years. Number 4, Norway. This is Norway. Need I say more?
I mean,
Alright, I'm joking, but every inch of this long, narrow, mountainous country with some of the most beautiful fjords and archipelagos is jaw-dropping. And I don't just mean Norway's 47 national parks, which remain remarkably clean due to most not allowing any cars. From Bergen to Alesund, Kristiansand, Oslo, and the Lofoten Islands, Norway houses so many charming waterfront cities and towns with a unique mix of both old and new that blends seamlessly with the natural environment. And Norway's minimalistic yet complex architecture, which might seem like a contradiction, is a metaphor for the country. Less is more. Because despite Norwegians having the 3rd shortest average work week at 34 hours and 31 paid vacation days, the economy is excellent with the 6th highest GDP per capita at 78 grand. Now, to be fair, a big chunk of Norway's wealth comes from exporting petroleum and gas. But Norway itself is very eco-friendly, and since the government is the 4th least corrupt, any surplus profit is invested back into the government pension fund, which then directly funds Norway's wonderful social safety nets. 7.6% of the GDP is spent on educating the youth, and Norway is home to the 4th best healthcare system and a highly successful qualification program, which gives higher income support to unemployed people as long as they're training or learning new skills full-time. So despite Norway being the 5th most expensive country, it also has the 10th lowest poverty rate at just 8.4%. And since the only real danger here is the high winds of Pulpit Rock or one of the many other beautiful cliffs, it's not hard to see why Norwegians are so happy. Number 3, Ireland. Ireland's new to the
Ireland.
list, and it's already
Can I
in the
add
top
this to
3.
Europe, or-
Well, if you've been sleeping on it, wake up,
Not.
because the Emerald Isle is having a moment. It's the 3rd safest country, has excellent schools and healthcare, and is home to the
So
4th
good.
lowest poverty rate due to its booming economy. The Irish are the 2nd most educated populace, with 53% of residents holding a post-secondary degree, which, combined with its very friendly tax code compared to most other EU countries, has led many large US companies, such as Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, and Google, to place their EU headquarters here. This has created an
see.
outstanding job market, with the 3rd highest GDP per capita at 131 grand. And makes Ireland the best country for Americans to move to based on ease of transition. In fact, Dublin is one of the only airports outside of North America which has pre-clearance for US passengers.
Okay, fine. Maybe you can make a lot of money in Ireland, but other than that, it's just potatoes and alcoholics. Boring.
Well, sure, there are potatoes
I
and
love
the people
potatoes,
do
so
drink
what
a
are you
lot.
talking
But
about?
Ireland's lush green rolling hills also produce the freshest produce in the world, and the locals know how to have fun. Or crack, as they call it. From St. Patty's Day parades to world-class surfing golf to incredible music, historic castles, and stunning winding roads along seaside cliffs, it's no wonder the Irish are some of the warmest,
beautiful.
funniest, and most welcoming residents you will ever
That
meet.
is
Number 2, Denmark. The Danish language might have no word for
Denmark.
please, but it doesn't need
Have
one
we
because everyone is so darn
seen
nice.
Denmark
And why wouldn't they
before?
be when they're the 2nd happiest country? In large part due to
No
valuing
reactions?
human connection and socializing over work and money. In fact, Denmark has the 2nd shortest average work week at just 33.7 hours, and 96% of Danes report having friends or relatives that they can count on in times of trouble. But considering that Denmark is also the 2nd safest country with the best healthcare system, 2nd best work-life balance, 3rd lowest poverty rate, 4th best schooling system, and 5th highest average annual
just in,
wage
like,
at
top 5 or
$58,400, trouble seldom occurs. Yes, taxes can get high, with the top bracket paying 52%. But since Danes are highly educated and very politically active, with an 84.6% voter turnout, their government, which is tied for the least corrupt of any nation, actually serves its residents, unlike some countries. The US. Sure, it might be the least beautiful of the
We're
Nordic
just
countries, but it's
dragging
much
US.
warmer. You're never more than 50 kilometers from a beach, and Copenhagen is often ranked as the most livable city on Earth. Now, before we get to number 1, make
I
sure you
wonder
leave a like
who's
and
number one?
subscribe. And
If I was to guess, is it gonna be like New Zealand? Am I forgetting somewhere? Number 1. It's not going to be US. Let's get that straight. Fiji or something. I don't know. Of course not. Rookie. London? No, it's not. It can't be. It can't be London. It cannot be England. It's impossible. It's somewhere in Europe, but I forget which. Germany. Is it? I don't know. We'll see.
I wanted to give another quick honorable mention to Hong Kong, because if it
Hong
were
Kong.
recognized as a country, it would certainly make this list. Despite being a small, beautiful island city, Hong Kong has managed to perfectly implement the best of both Eastern and Western society to become one of the most advanced, culturally diverse, and modern cities in the world, with the highest life expectancy and overall quality of
Okay, I
life.
give you
Plus, the economy is incredible.
Okay,
and
I
before
give
you
you
ask,
What about the US? America's the best country ever!
yes, the US does excel in many categories, with by
US is
far the best
amazing.
economy and highest average income. But
But
there's also a huge division
not
of wealth,
livable.
leading to one of the highest poverty rates among developed nations.
But without further ado,
And it's not
Number 1.
safe. I mean, they have some safe states, but maybe if you're comparing that state safety to the to another country, it might be like even crazy different, right?
Switzerland. In this world, you
Switzerland?
get what you
My
pay
country,
for.
I
And yes,
forgot
the
about
most
it.
expensive country is also the best.
country.
Because outside of the ridiculous
Yeah, I
cost of
claimed
living, there
Switzerland.
isn't anything Switzerland does wrong. It's incredibly safe, has a remarkable public transit
forgot
network,
about
the healthcare and
Switzerland.
universities are superb, taxes are low, and there are even elements of direct democracy in some of the cantons Switzerland is split up in, with residents
I mean,
voting
Switzerland
directly
is
on policies
literally
ranging from how many vacation days
the
they get to
neutral,
immigration.
right?
And when you consider that it's got the third highest life expectancy of 84 years, and by far the highest average after-tax net income at $69,400, which is 25% higher than the next country, it should come as no surprise that Switzerland has the highest quality of life on Earth and is the best country to live in for 2023. Especially since you're surrounded by views like this.
Oh. Now it's between like Netherlands, Switzerland, and Norway. Even if I don't know much about Norway, still really, really like it because it's heaven on earth or heaven in heaven. I don't know. Yeah, so we have 6 out of the 10 is Europe. They should have just done it. Yeah. I asked for it and I got it, right? Because when I watched the top 10 best countries in Europe, I was like, are you telling me that this is literally the top 10 in the world as well? Because it seems like it is. And we're not wrong because 60% Europe. We have one Asian country, which is Japan, and then what else? Oh, we have Canada. We have Australia, which is another continent in itself. And then what am I missing? Is there another Asian country that I missed? Or another country? Oh, Ireland, right? We are not putting it as Europe, that is in the UK, right? So is it part of the UK? Because we did a reaction to that. It's like it was a very complicated UK British history. I didn't know that when it's called, I forget if it's called Great Britain and if it is called United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern, something like that. It's totally different. I didn't know that, so we learned that, and I kind of forgot also. But anyways, we're not including it into the Europe, or should I? Because if it is, then we have 7. If it's not, then we have 6. But you guys let me know. If you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.